to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We take this opportunity for a reflective moment of silence. Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. I'll call for the vote, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Angelo,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Browning,
Aye.
Trustee Lowell,
Aye.
Trustee Waugh,
Aye.
Trustee Rogan,
Aye.
and Trustee Carabas.
Aye.
The agenda is approved 6-0. Madam Clerk, could you please read the next item into the record?
Yes, the next item is a hearing of the Board of Ethics to review an ethics complaint filed against Mayor Pro Tem Browning.
Staff,
Brandon, do we need a motion to adjourn as the trustees and reconvene as the Board of Ethics?
Yes.
Yes.
excuse me. Do we have that motion? To
So moved.
convene as the Board of Ethics?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to convene as the Board of Ethics. I'll call for the vote.
Mayor Angelo,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Browning,
Aye.
Trustee Lowell,
Aye.
Trustee Waugh,
Aye.
Trustee Rogan,
Aye.
and Trustee Carabas.
Aye.
We are now convened as the Board of Ethics. Item 1 was read into the record. Does it need to be read into the record again, Counselor?
No, Mayor Angelo, I believe it's sufficient.
Okay, good. Then would you proceed, Counselor?
Yeah, so I'm just gonna have a brief reminder on what the policy is here under the ethics code and what we're doing here tonight under this, both the first item and then also under the second item is listed on the agenda. So under section 7 of the ethics code, which we'll all have a copy of, it lays out the policy and the procedures for enforcement of the ethics code. And what that says, upon receipt of a verified complaint for a town officer, the Board of Trustees shall decide whether or not sufficient facts are alleged to constitute a violation of the ethics code, or whether it should dismiss the complaint. And so what we're here tonight to do is to basically determine that initial step about whether enough evidence exists to constitute an ethics violation, basically probable cause for a hearing, which would include evidence and testimony on the ethics code violation. So what we are here tonight is not to have presentations from the complainant or the accused, but really to look at the four corners of both the complaint and the response and determine whether or not sufficient evidence has been alleged that could possibly present an ethics violation, which merits either further investigation or a hearing. And so that's what we're really here tonight to discuss.
Are there any questions for staff or Counselor? Do we entertain a motion at this time, Counselor?
I don't think it's a tough thing. The policy is not outlined in the ethics code about what to do. But I think really, I think if someone has a motion to make on whether to proceed to a hearing or not, we can certainly entertain it, but I don't know if there's enough facts yet to get to that stage. I think in this limited case, it may be appropriate to have that discussion first and then entertain a motion. If the board so wishes to either order an investigation or to order a hearing be noticed.
Okay. It's always different depending on what we're doing. Is there any discussion by the Board of Trustees at this time?
And the Board of Trustees was given a copy of the complaint in the response as part of the agenda.
Trustee Lowell?
I might as well bat lead off here. You know, there's a somewhat archaic and I think sort of a silly British term, kerfuffle. And that's basically a commotion or a fuss, especially caused by conflicting opinions. And I think, as archaic and silly as it sounds, I think it neatly sums up this particular ethics complaint. Two people, both intelligent men of honesty and integrity, not only took their social media discussion too far, but further have spent hours of their time justifying their points of view on this ethics complaint. I've got in my possession the 15 pages that Mayor Pro Tem Browning produced in his defense. I've likewise got the original ethics complaint from Mr. Breckenridge, as well as his 5 pages of counterpoints. You know, there's no one on this board whose judgment, honesty, and acumen I trust more than Mayor Pro Tem Browning's. Likewise, I've known Mr. Breckenridge for all of my 9 years here in Lyons. I know him as an intelligent man, an honest man, but as an academician, sometimes he carries things a bit too far. That may be the case in this particular instance. I think this whole ethics issue, or complaint rather, could have been short-stopped by Mayor Pro Tem Browning simply walking away in an electronic sense. It's not easy, but it was the practical thing to do. And I think, frankly, both men are attaching way more importance to this social media posting than it deserves. By my last count, I think there were 10 respondees to the post, including, quote, the usual suspects. No one's opinion was swayed. There was no changes made to the matter that was being discussed. I'm not going to come down on the side of either party on this. Mr. Breckenridge was at fault for posting erroneous information. And Mayor Pro Tem Browning never once used the term liar or lying as he's been charged. The sad fact of the matter is this whole social media kerfuffle should have simply faded away with no repartee between the two parties. I view this complaint as a tremendous waste of both this board's time, Mayor Pro Tem Browning's time, and Mr. Breckenridge's time, where I think an apology, a simple apology by both parties would have sufficed.
Additional comments? Trustee Rogan.
Thank you, Trustee Lowell, for leading us off there and for the use of the word kerfuffle, which is actually one of my favorites. I agree with Trustee Lowell. I would also like to state that I believe that Mayor Pro Tem Browning's comment of, if you have questions, please email me, which is obviously not his exact words. I didn't for a second believe that there was anything nefarious in that. I believed it was an honest attempt to educate a public who may have questions about the actual facts in the matter. So I don't think there was any malintent. And I agree with Trustee Lowell that this complaint is basically taking up time that I don't think anybody has to spare.
Additional comments?
Trustee Wall has his hand raised, Mayor.
Trustee Wall.
Yeah, I'd like to say that this is an incredible waste of time. And I'd also like to say that Mayor Pro Tem Browning has perpetuated this waste of time with a 16-page response. It could have just as easily been responded to with Yeah, I probably shouldn't have said anything. I stand by what I said, period. So Mayor Pro Tem Browning has brought several other members of this board to ethics complaints. And I don't feel that it was a waste of Mayor Pro Tem Browning's time to articulate his argument. I feel like it's a waste of time to send a 16-page document to us to all have to consume prior to this. As someone who is often disagreeable in the way that I disagree, I can say that Mayor Pro Tem Browning and I share that in some cases. And a simple, I got a little bit carried away, I got a little bit fired up, could have saved us all a tremendous amount of time. So while I don't think it's a huge issue, I think a 16-page document is a waste of everyone's time, even more than this requirement. So I just like to say that personally.
Trustee Caravas, would you like to make a statement?
Yep. Echoing some of my colleagues about waste of time. However, when someone as a board, our obligation are to the town and to our commissions who volunteer. And when a citizen openly distorts what a commission is doing, they are not elected, they are volunteering to help us. I do feel it is up to a mayor or mayor pro tem or even an administrator to set the record straight and protect those individuals. The individual that Trustee Lowell talked about as he's known for all these years. If you recall in the EAB, Trustee Lowell, this individual has done the same thing of misstoring information, trying to get people riled up under his point of view. It should be in your records. And I know you kept very good records as the secretary of the EAB. So it is unfortunate that those of you that may have not heard my comments when in 2016-17 about it should be nice to have a resolution that the internet is shut off at 7 o'clock in Lyons. That would still hold true, but it isn't. We can't do that, of course. So Mayor Pro Tem Browning protecting the UAB and the members, or even his fellow trustees or neighbors. I personally don't have a problem with it. Someone's gonna be out there lying. It's too easy to lie and to store information about individuals because of this great technology we have that's being used for bad. My personal opinion, of course. So of course, this is a waste of time, and I would at this point would move that we close and not move forward with any charges with Mr. Browning, Pro Tem Mayor Browning.
I'd like to make a comment first, if you don't mind, sir.
Feel free.
I responded to the same individual in regard to information that was not correct about an executive session. I felt that the Board of Trustees, the staff that were present, counselor who was present, were all subjected to false information, and I couldn't let it stand. I felt it was my duty to not let it stand. Trustee Browning, in his way, which happens to be very concise, very precise, very analytical, answered in his manner. And I agree with all of my fellow trustees that it was unfortunate and that we should be very careful about participating on social media. Trustee Caravas, you have did you have a motion, sir, if there's no further comments?
Yeah, same motion I stated. I move to adjourn or not move forward with any further investigation of Mayor Pro Tem Browning and the Board of Ethics at this time.
Is that proper at this time, Counselor?
Yeah, there can be a motion to dismiss this complaint without any further hearing or investigation, I think is what the ethics code requires.
Well, do you
Sir.
consider that my motion?
Okay, sir. Do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second as stated by Counselor and agreed to by Trustee Carabas. Any further discussion? If not, I'll call for the vote.
Mayor Angelo?
Aye.
Brandon, does Mayor Pro Tem vote?
He can if he so wishes, or he can abstain.
I'll abstain.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Lowell,
Aye.
Trustee Waugh,
Aye.
Trustee Rogan,
Aye.
and Trustee Carabas.
All right.
Thank you. The motion carries with Mayor Pro Tem Browning abstaining. Madam Clerk, could you please read the next item into the record?
Yes, the next item is number 2, a review of an ethics complaint filed against Trustee Miller.
Okay. Do we need to reiterate staff? I don't think so.
I don't think so. Just a reminder, this is only the initial stage on whether to order either an investigation or a hearing or both.
Okay. Any questions to staff in this regard?
Yeah, I have one.
Trustee Lowell.
So counsel, if a further investigation and hearing is voted for, what standing does the complainant have? In other words, do we hear from the person who lodged the complaint in any of this in an open hearing?
The complainant would have that option. So it depends. Either the town attorney or someone the town attorney appoints could take on the case to prosecute the case, which can include calling witnesses of the complaint. Or if I assume if the complainant so wished, I guess they could put on their own case. But we haven't gotten to that stage previously. But essentially, the investigation would, the town attorney or someone he would appoint would perform the investigation and collect additional facts. Witnesses could be called, witnesses could be put on. It'd be a full hearing on whether or not a violation had occurred.
And what would be the penalty if this board voted that the ethics complaint was legitimate? Would there be a public reprimand? Would there be some sort of a dismissal of the trustee?
So there's a separate process under the code for the dismissal of a trustee. So this would not result in that, but could result in other forms of public discipline, including censure, formal reprimand, letter from the town attorney. Those are primarily the remedies that would be available under the ethics code. And just trying to see if there's any more that I'm missing. Quick search on that. So the exact list is an order of an oral or written reprimand, a public censure, or such other penalty as deemed just and appropriate depending on the seriousness of the violation and any mitigating circumstances. As I mentioned, there's a separate process under the code for dismissal of a town officer. And then also, of course, the option under Colorado state law for recall, which is held by the public rather than the board.
All right, thank you.
Further questions for counsel? Trustee Rogan.
Thank you. Just for clarity's sake, can we decide to issue, for example, a reprimand without going to a full investigation and hearing?
I believe we can. I think we've done that in the past.
Thank you.
Any further questions? No discussion by the Board of Trustees. Mayor Pro Tem Browning.
To me, this complaint raises a little bit different of an issue than we've looked at in the past on other ethics complaints. And it's really the issue, and it was sort of alluded to in the presentation, that Mr. Light just did. And that is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Anytime a trustee opens his or her mouth or writes a letter or posts on Facebook or whatever, are you necessarily speaking as a trustee? For example, if I go to dinner at a local restaurant and have a bad experience and go on a Yelp or a Google review site and say, I had dinner tonight at XYZ restaurant and the service was lousy and the food was lousy and I'm not going back there. Am I speaking as a Town of Lyons trustee? I don't think so. I think I'm speaking as someone who ate dinner at a restaurant and posted a review. And that's how I regard this complaint. A trustee posted an opinion about a private landlord-tenant matter. If the trustee had posted that opinion and said, by the way, I'm on the board of trustees and I think Lyons needs to enact its own landlord-tenant laws to deal with situations like this, or adopt rent control or something like that, or its own eviction laws, then it's a different matter. But this was simply a trustee's personal opinion on a non-town matter expressed on social media. I may or may not agree with that opinion. I may or may not agree with the judgment to even post an opinion on a private matter on a local Facebook page. But I don't think this implicated the trustee's role as a town official at all. I read what he said about you're a trustee 24/7. Well, if I write a letter to the editor to the New York Times or Wall Street Journal or something and express an opinion about a state or national political matter, am I acting as a Lyons trustee? No, I'm acting as an individual citizen with an opinion. And although we all, to some extent, consent to curbing our normal free speech rights when you become a trustee, you can't reveal attorney-client communication stuff that came in executive session. You can't use, public facilities to speak on political matters, or like they said in your as part of a campaign. So you do accept some limitations and curbs on your free speech rights, but to express your opinion about a restaurant or a national issue or a landlord-tenant dispute, do you waive your First Amendment rights and your free speech rights as a trustee to do that? I don't think so. And my opinion is this ethics violation, even though the person who filed it may have perceived that somehow Trustee Miller was speaking in her capacity as a Lyons trustee, I don't think she was. So I don't think this complaint is well taken, and I'm in favor of dismissing it.
Further comments? Trustee Lowe.
I agree with Mayor Pro Tem Browning's assessment of the whole deal.
Any further comments? Trustee Rogan.
I tend to agree, and I also take to heart Ms. Chapman's contention that were she to come before the Board of Trustees on a matter, she might not feel comfortable that Trustee Miller would be giving her a fair shake. And so in recognition of that, I would propose that if Ms. Chapman does come before the board on a matter, that Trustee Miller recuse herself from that matter.
Further comments?
Just to be clear, Trustee Rogan, you're proposing that's how you would vote in that future action, not requiring it as part of this hearing. I don't believe the latter is something we could do.
Thank you. Yes.
Any further comments? Again, I think this post was very unfortunate. I think that the thread went on and on and on and on. And I think a couple of things that were said were insensitive. They weren't part of the complaint, but I think that words can have meaning and words can hurt. And so like I said, I think a policy of being very careful on social media would be prudent in the future. If there are no further comments, I'll entertain a motion at this time.
I'll move to dismiss charges against Wendy Mailer with no further action by the Board of Ethics.
Do we have a second?
Second,
We have a motion and a second as stated by trustee Carabas. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Angelo,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Browning,
aye.
Trustee Rogan,
Aye.
Trustee Waugh,
Aye.
Trustee Lowell,
Aye.
and Trustee Carabas.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. Let's see, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do we have a
Okay.
second?
I'll second that.
No further discussion. I'll call for the vote, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Angelo,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Browning,
Aye.
Trustee Rogan,
Aye.
Trustee Waugh,
Aye.
Trustee Lowell,
Aye.
and Trustee Carabas.
Aye.
This motion is adjourned. Be careful, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy. Good night.
Good night. Good evening.
Good night.